What if I told you that you can play EU4 but with modern day borders? Well, you can do that with the extended timeline bookmark for the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where we start off on the 2nd of March 2022. One thing they managed to do in this bookmark is essentially depict the overall economic power of countries via development, and you can see this clearly exposed here with Germany having 1,900, Russia's got 1,700, Ukraine 191, Romania 205. Wait, that's not accurate. This has to be less. This definitely has to be less. Anyway, you can imagine the development in most of the Western countries here, but then look at this, boys. US has 8,000 development. That is a massive difference compared to everybody else. And then China has even more, 9,400. It's insane. My good old Japan here's got 2,400. And the best part, look at the difference between South Korea at 930 and North Korea at 41. I think that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Also, not sure what to say about North Korea being guaranteed by China. Maybe it is, I really have no idea about that, but South Korea definitely is guaranteed by the US. The centerpiece of the bookmark obviously is going to be the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as it is cold as well. But let's take a look at the entirety of the map first before we focus on that area. I want to see the development map mode because, yeah, look at this. Development wise, you can clearly see the shape of the US as well from higher development provinces compared to the northern lands, which are what, like 3 development provinces. Come on, really? 3 dev? That's it? I'm sure this should be at least 6 dev by now, albeit I'm assuming this is mostly woodlands in the north of Canada, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Mexico's not doing too bad for itself. It even has 106,000 soldiers. How many soldiers does the US have? 330,000. That's a lot less than the US actually does have in real life, but not bad. South America's got quite a few hive provinces by the coastline, especially in Brazil, whilst the Amazon, as to be expected, not much dev. You can see in Africa, Nigeria clearly has way more dev than the rest of Africa, and it is, I think, the strongest African nation right now. Might be a little bit of a competition between them and South Africa, I guess. Europe as well, you can see the difference between Western Europe and then Eastern Europe, and especially the Balkan area. The Balkans are a little bit behind, let's say. Turkey's not doing bad, actually. Definitely not bad. The lowest they have is 6 dev. The stands are so-so. Let's say so-so, so we don't say that they're the second Balkans. And India's doing amazing as well. What's the dev in India? Holy snap. When you think about it, Australia's outback, that means the big desert in the middle, has about the same amount of development as Kazakhstan has. So when your country's development's equal to a desert, you should rethink your economic policy, sir. Let's go to the religious mode. Obviously, most of the world is secular as their official religion. That means that they don't actually have an official religion, and they accept most religions, so it doesn't matter what your faith is, you have your right to that faith secured by the government. There are some exceptions like Greece, which apparently has Orthodoxy as the official religion, and of course most of the Middle Eastern countries have the same situation with their version of Islam, and apparently even Thailand and Burma have Buddhist as the official religion. I have to say though that South Korea has a little bit more Protestantism than I'm thinking they should have. I know there's a significant portion of the population that is Protestant, but I highly doubt it's that many. Meanwhile, North Korea is basically atheist, but you know, in a communist society, just because the country is officially atheist doesn't mean that the people really are atheists. That being said, the Czechs are known to be very, very atheist agnostics or just irreligious people in general, so there's a bit of truth to this. I'm a little bit surprised to see this in Estonia, so if there's any Estonian people in the chat, Mr. Doom, let us know in the comment section if this is pretty accurate or not, because I want to know myself. We also got the cultural map mode, and this is well done also. We have Romanians separate, Albanians are not a part of the South Slavic group, and Slovaks are a part of the West Slavic group, with the Basque also being separate. Turkish also is not a part of the same group with Egyptian and so on, so that makes a lot more sense than being in the same group with Turkmeni and Azerbaijani. Also interesting that they depicted the Yemeni civil war as a rebellion here with Sunni zealots in most of the country, and the same for the Ethiopian civil war, where we have the Tigray rebellion fighting against the central federal government of Ethiopia, and a very similar situation in Somalia as well. In case you guys didn't know, the Yemeni civil war has been dragging on for quite a few years, and the country is basically on the verge of collapse. Countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE are taking advantage of this. They've basically even stolen the island of Sukha, as they call it, I guess, in Yemeni. And they're fighting over who gets the island. They also have another island that they stole in this area, basically preventing access to the Red Sea. And by having the access to the Red Sea, they can impose their own taxes and conditions, as you can imagine. I have some links in the description for donations if you guys would like to donate for the Red Cross and other organizations that help out refugees from Yemen, from Ethiopia, as well as from Ukraine, because I do think it's fair to acknowledge all the people suffering today and give a helping hand wherever it's needed. Take note, this is not some whataboutism or whatever you want to call it. This is simply stating that there's a lot of wars happening right now and a lot of areas of the world that do require our attention. That being said, we will focus a little bit on the Ukrainian side, because at the end of the day, Ukraine is a country that's at the doorsteps of the European Union, and this conflict has the potential to turn into the Third World War or a nuclear apocalypse if mismanaged, and that's basically why all the news outlets are giving this the main focus and not the Yemeni or the Ethiopian war. Yemen, Ethiopia don't have nuclear missiles, Russia does. If you guys haven't seen any of my streams, I always advocate for peace in every single engagement, and I recommend you guys check out my streams. You'll find a link in the description if you want to hang out with me when I am streaming. Now let's get back to our video here. Enough with this self-advertisement, Ludi. What the hell, bro? Let's start picking on the Italians, shall we? I'm curious if they added in the Romansh culture in the south of Switzerland. They did not add Romansh. Okay, fair enough. But they did add the south part of Switzerland as Italian Lombard, which makes sense because there's four official languages in Switzerland. There's German, there's French, there's Italian, and there's Romansh. Romansh is basically another type of Latin language that developed in the mountainous area between the Germanic and the Italian-speaking folk. So tagging into Ukraine, we can see that they start with 50,000 troops, whilst the Russians have 300,000, so that's a pretty big discrepancy here. Most of the land is pretty low dev as well. We have 191 dev, but I think we can get the encourage development policy. We can, and that means we can also encourage development in our provinces, and then we can develop provinces for 2 mana points. 2, that's it. That's actually insane. So by just using the starting mana points, we can get most of Western Ukraine to roughly around 20 development, and that boosted us up to 338 development. So if we go to the dev map mode, you can see the difference between Western Ukraine and the rest of Ukraine now. They also have 1 mission we can do, so we get 1 stability, and our leader starts as a 343. That's a bit weird. I would say this guy is a 6 diplo. Not sure about admin and military, but definitely a 6 diplo. And now let's check it from the Russian side. They have a ton more soldiers as expected, and they're armed with the AK-47. Interesting. Surprisingly, the Russians do not have quantity ideas, so they cannot play tall until this is fully unlocked. They also don't have any diplomatic ideas for that matter, so it's pretty accurate. No ships in the Black Sea is a bit pepega because they do have ships in the Black Sea, and they have a few occupied provinces, so I'm curious to see how this is actually going to pan out. So you know what? I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to let the AI play by itself and see how the war is going to pan out if it's just the AI in control of these nations. Oh my god, look at this Romanian soldier here. He looks so crooked, doesn't he? Wait, where's my wallet? Shit, where's my wallet? This is what happens when I even look at Romania. You need to be careful, guys. Be very careful. I feel like Moldova's panicking a little bit. They're shipping off this 1 unit they have from one province to the other continuously. And a classic Russian AI move. They're staying in one province with half of their army, dying off through attrition. Massive brain move right there. Oh, not enough troops in one province. Let's bring another 50,000. Hold up a second. Russia just allied France and India. Mr. Macron, what are you doing here, sir? I think we cannot trust Mr. Macron, boys. It's literally been more than a year, and the Russians did not take more than 3 provinces, and they're just sitting at the border. Now, either the AI is role-playing Putin, or something's fishy over here. Okay, they did start doing something. They took the 2 forts here. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians decided to counterattack, actually, in Azov. And they even tried to take some western provinces. Interesting. With more troops incoming in that area. Okay, now they're making a lot more progress, and there's a bit of a stalemate. I don't know why the Ukrainians are not even coming out of Azov, but they must have a reason, I assume. And now they're coming back. I am so confused. What is the AI actually doing is beyond me. The AI works in mysterious ways, I guess. Looks like they're trying to break free though, so we might have a battle here. We do have indeed. Woof! Not the best rolls, definitely not the best rolls, and Russians have a little bit more discipline apparently. There's no obvious clear battle plan here. Somebody's definitely just winging this. Well, without any proper help and without any allies, Ukraine has basically crumbled. Now let's see what the peace deal is going to bring about, and I think they're going to try and stack wipe them. Nope, they got a 1 month's tick, and apparently 1 month's tick in 2026 is a lot of manpower recovery. They basically recovered half of their manpower. They killed off the Russians that were trying to stack wipe them. Definitely trying to go out with the bank here. Can we get an F in the chat for these Ukrainian boyos here? They did a really good job. And the peace deal is here. Only took 4 years. Let's hope in real life it does not take 4 years for the war to finish. They essentially took the entirety of the western parts here, and I think they also made, yes, they did make Ukraine renounce its cores on Crimea apparently. This is definitely the bad ending outcome of this scenario. Let's see what's happening in the rest of the world. Are there any other wars in Europe? I highly doubt that. There is a war apparently between Tzotzil and Mexico, and surprisingly Tzotzil's not doing that bad. So I thought it's a good idea to see what the world of 2075 looks like by comparison to our world. Apparently the first thing I noticed is that Canada is extremely friendly. They didn't attack a single nation. They're allied to their only neighbor, so I guess that kind of contributed to the whole thing. Meanwhile, Mexico lost 2 provinces. The US had a massive war against them and took 2 provinces from them. That's really strange. Guatemala took over the rebellious nation of Tzotzil. Nicaragua split El Salvador in half, whilst Brazil is getting its ass kicked right now by Colombia apparently, and Argentina fully annexed Chile, the age-old rivalry between the 2 South American nations. Guarani also appeared. I didn't even notice this before because I kind of let the game play by itself whilst I was having dinner, so this is me returning from dinner. Hey, it was nice. In Europe, Germany has committed atrocities, of course, against the Bohemians, and by Bohemians I mean Czechs, together with their buddies Poland and Austria. The good old triple entente, am I right, boys? Austria clearly is also going for the restoration of the Habsburg Empire. The Turks, on the other hand, have a lot of troops, and oh, they got a massive coalition against them. Let's check this out. Turkey's got a coalition of the entirety of Europe minus Germany. Germany's friendly with them. I'm confused. Something definitely happened here. They got cores on all of Georgia, so whatever happened involved some cores on Georgia, I guess. They got cores on Egypt also. What? Very interesting for sure. Romania destroyed Bulgaria for some reason. Also took care of Moldova, which is good. I approve. Russia completely annexed Belarus and committed massive border snake into the Lithuanian lands and Latvian lands for that matter, because Mitau is Latvian. Also fully annexed Finland, which I'm not sure it had that much dev, so I'm kind of surprised they did that. Yeah, okay, it's not really that much dev in Finland actually. Iraq butchered Iran and it liberated a few nations, or I think these actually liberated themselves via rebellions. Khorasan's back in town, was the real Iran, and a little bit of Baluchistan's around here as well. Saudi has massive pretender rebel problems, so kind of like real life Saudi Arabia right now, isn't it? They killed off Oman, Yemen, and even UAE, but they got an alliance with Qatar and Kuwait, so I'm assuming that's going to stick around for a while. Israel also, I think, has an alliance. They do have an alliance with Turkey and Syria, as well as Russia and Austria, and they're guaranteed by the US. That is the weirdest set of alliances and guarantee I've ever seen. Also shocked that the US still has this guarantee on them. Algeria committed annexation over Tunis. Libya died to rebels. Spain took a few provinces from the Moroccans, and Niger with Nigeria basically owning the entirety of sub-Saharan Africa, with Belgian Congo, or sorry, Democratic Congo getting its ass kicked by Rwanda, the one province minor. What? How many troops does Rwanda have? They got 3,000. What is happening here? Yep, Belgium Belgian Congo's definitely struggling against 3,000 units. Is there anybody else in that? Yeah, okay, never mind. So it's Rwanda, Zimbabwe, and South Sudan. That makes more sense. Namibia fully annexed Botswana also, and they're at war with Zimbabwe as well now. Ethiopian civil war ended with the release of the Tigray people, and even Welaita, Jimma, and Ogaden came out of Ethiopia at some point. Somalia broke into two as well, with Somaliland bringing out here. Oh, actually, we even have a small Adal. They still have their cores. They got only 2 cores, not the entirety of their cores. No more Sri Lanka. It's all India now, boys. And apparently, India's at war with the Chinese. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna end up. China also crushed the Burma, and Thailand ate most of its neighbors. I saw it had a war with Vietnam, but I guess they just peaced out. Yep, they just got a peace deal recently. They seem to be building a new fleet for some reason. And they're blockaded by China. Oh, they're at war with China. Ah, that explains why they peaced out with Vietnam. They're allied to India against China. Right. I adore the fact that India still has elephant sprites in 2075. Korea unified, the South ate the North, and now we have a unified Korea tag, which still has the massive divide of development between North and South. Very clear line here. Kind of makes me wonder, like, if at one point these two nations do unify again, the economic divide between the North and the South is going to be massive. And if they're not careful, people in the North can suffer massively from that, because obviously big corporations from this can quite easily purchase everything in the North when the unification happens and kind of economically enslave the people there. So I hope whenever that happens that the South has a good policy of reintegrating the North. Indonesia ate up the rest of Malaysia. However, they have Palembang as an independent nation and they're allied to Indonesia. What happened here? They're at war with Australia. Australian change of government for Indonesia. Good luck with that, Australia, because I think Indonesia's got double the development. 50 years and nothing at all changed in New Zealand. It's as if the AI just went, yeah, nothing to do here, boys. I do like the flag that New Zealand has in this mod, though. I really do like this flag. Is that like a kiwi feather or something? And I just realized the Afghanistan formed a nation, Bavandids. I've never heard of these guys. Uzbekistan completely finished out Turkmenistan, and actually I think Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan together finished off Tajikistan, whilst Kazakhstan did absolutely nothing. Actually, did they lose some provinces to Russia? No, they didn't. I think it's because they're allied to Russia, but why are they not attacking in the south? One thing is for sure, in Western Europe, it's really hard for nations to expand for one reason alone, the alliance sets. I mean, France alone is allied to Sweden, England, Russia, Netherlands, Belgium, and so on, and about the same thing with the English, who are allied with half of the world as well, and the Irish and so on. Netherlands had a war with the Germans, apparently. They took a province from them. No, 2 provinces from them, actually. I like the uniforms. I definitely love the uniforms that Germans have. And the Belgian uniforms are pretty nice. Belgium did not expand a single bit, however, but most importantly, Ukraine stayed about the same as it was before. I didn't really interfere a single bit because I was eating whilst the game was playing in the background, so kind of surprised to see that they didn't completely collapse or get fully annexed by the Russians. If you guys want me to do another similar video like this, let me know in the comment section. If we get 10,000 likes, I want to do a Romania Conquest in the 2022 start date. I think that would be pretty fun. I went for a walk and I let the game running, and now that I'm back, it's 22:51, and boy is the world a lot more interesting. First off, Iceland basically took over Greenland, and apparently Canada also took a part of it from Iceland because they still have their core here. Basically the only expansion these boys had in the past 250 years. The US took a little bit more in Mexico, and they have another war with the Mexicans now. However, the real MVP is Nicaragua, which managed to get up to 125,000 soldiers, and they are at war with the Americans as well. Costa Rica also ate out all of the nation of Panama. Tupinquim appeared, which I've never heard of before. I think it's one of the migrating native tribes in South America. Argentina went batshit schnitzel, and they ate up most of the other countries in South America. Rio Grande appeared as well. I don't think I've ever seen Rio Grande, so this might be something that's particular to the mod, not from the base vanilla game. In Africa, Nigeria got massive, as did Sierra Leone for that matter, and they're allied to Nigeria, so they're going hand in hand like good buddies here. Songhai appeared, and apparently the small nation of Kabu went pretty wide, and I did notice they have a few cores. They lost a war to Sierra Leone, I guess, or to someone, and then Sierra Sierra Leone took that land. South Africa also expanded quite a little bit, and the nation of Welaita somehow managed to get over here in the Interlacustein area, and they have some cores in this area, so I assume that what happened was they were bigger and they lost land to the Kenyans or whoever they lost land to. Djibouti also went from a one province minor to a more than one province minor. Saudi Arabia ate out Qatar. Iraq committed massive border war. They've somehow snaked in a really weird way of snaking, and Iran is divided in like 3 different sides, with Anazids appearing and their colors identical to that of Kazakhstan, so it's really hard for me to tell where one begins and where the other one starts. Kazakhstan managed also to get some cores from the Russians in the north, so I'm thinking what happened is Russia lost the war against Kazakhstan, or maybe they gave them these lands because they were allied, so maybe via favors interaction, who knows. Uzbekistan is a little bit smaller, and Turkmenistan made a comeback, but just in one province. They still have the cores though, so you never know what might happen. China lost the war against the Indians, and they forced them to release a lot of nations. They did win the other war against the Burmese, and Vietnam also released the nation of Annam. Indonesia took 2 islands from Australia. That's it, just 2 islands. But other than that, Australia didn't really try to expand much. Papua New Guinea did expand a little bit, however. And Korea managed to win a war against the Chinese. No idea how or when, but China's got a massive army. They got 1 million soldiers. It's the only nation that has 1 million soldiers. I think after them, oh no, I'm wrong. US also has 1 million soldiers. Holy snaps, dude. This is like real life US and China levels right now. Imagine having 1 million soldiers as an AI nation, of course. No other country comes even close to that. Egypt also expanded a little bit, but look at this, guys. Greece and Romania became massive chads, dominating the Balkans, and Serbia is without any army. No, they got 7,000. Okay, they got some troops here for some reason. Slovenia, Croatia reappeared, and Poland butchered the Austrians. Apparently, the Germans also took some lands from the Poles, so they likely had some wars against each other. They also took lands from the Ukrainians, and what was left of Ukraine was also taken by the Russians. Scandinavia formed, and the most Pepega moment is the fact that Ireland and England have not changed their borders for 200 years. Granted, because they're allied to each other, but this is insane in my opinion. I would really have expected the English to eat all of Ireland very early on. Guess I was wrong though. Another thing I noticed is there's a lot of communist revolutionaries everywhere. I don't know what this is gonna do, if it's gonna make the countries communist if they enforce, because I have not seen them enforce any war just yet, but I did notice that there's quite a few of them. Even Turkey has some communist revolutionaries. Haiti ate out all of Cuba and Jamaica, but they didn't kill off the Dominican Republic, which is literally right next to them. They do have a truce with them apparently, so I guess they did go to war at some point. And the sneakiest of nations is Switzerland, which did take one province from the Austrians. They took Brabant without anybody even noticing. So I guess the winner of this entire session was the Swiss. If you guys want me to do more videos like these in the future, let me know in the comments. And until the next time, check out this awesome video up next. And I want to give a very big thank you to all of my channel members, Patreon members, as well as my Twitch supporters. I really wouldn't be able to do this without all of your support.